Hi, welcome to the School Food Solutions Verification Training for 25-26. I am Andee Bowes, the Director of Data and Eligibility here at School Food Solutions. And today we're going to learn about verification. So this is an annual process required by the USDA for anybody participating in the National School Lunch Program using standard counting and claiming. It's basically the USDA's way to hold families accountable for the information they put on their free and reduced lunch application. Verification is only performed on a small percentage of applications, not every single application you've received. Who gets selected? We take a 3% sample of households with an approved free or reduced application on file as of October 1st each year. So if they were approved via their household income or approved with a SNAP or TANF case number, or submitted an application with foster children, those applications could be included in the 3% sample. Not included are denied applications. So if their income was too high to qualify, any students who are directly certified and their siblings, any directly certified students based on other reasons, such as foster, homeless, migrant, or runaway status, and then any children enrolled in Head Start or Even Start programs. So we're just looking at the students who only qualify because of a free or reduced application. And of that group, only a 3% sample is selected. So School Food Solutions owns the annual verification process, and we handle most of it on your behalf. But there are a few things that we ask that you as a school food authority are responsible for as well. So let's go through this. School Food Solutions is going to select the sample of applications. We're going to make sure that we have all the reporting data necessary for October 1st and October 31st that are required. We will contact the families that are selected. We will track their responses. We will follow up with those families as needed, and we will update the verification trackers that we share with you throughout this process so that you always know where everybody is. And then we will submit all required reports to state agencies before their due date. So what we need from you is to make sure that we have all the information before October 1st. So no later than September 30th. Make sure that we have your September direct certification lists and any paper applications that you have received. Send us anything that you still have that you haven't sent us yet. Please make sure we get that by the end of September. As the process starts, once we share your verification tracker with you, we ask that you update that whenever a family might submit documentation to your school directly. And be responsive to our questions and calls. You know your families better than we do, so if we are having trouble getting in touch with someone, we might reach out to you for assistance. Here's an overview of the timeline of the verification process. So September 30th, let's make sure we have your September direct certification list, and all paper applications need to be scanned to School Food Solutions. On October 1st, we will confirm that all applications get processed, all direct certifications have been uploaded, and pull kind of the sample data set for the verification process. After that, October 2nd through the 8th, we are working through all of our customers that go through verification, and we will pull the specific 3% sample for each one, send those first notification letters to families via mail and email, and share the verification tracker with you at the school to let you know who was selected, what your due date is, as well as anything else you need to know about the verification process. That's going to happen on like a rolling basis between October 2nd and 8th. Between October 20th and 24th, as needed, we will send second notifications to families. So if they didn't respond to the first notification, we're going to be reaching out again, asking them to submit their documentation. We might reach out to you at the school to help with contacting families at this point if we haven't been successful. The due date for families to respond will vary by school, but it'll be somewhere at the beginning of November, between the 4th and the 12th. And then we will submit the verification summary report to the state when it is due, which varies by states, but it'll be sometime between November and January. We're going to share with you this verification guide. It has a reminder of all the things we need your help with and how things work, what to do as far as verification goes. It also has a list of acceptable verification documentation, so the type of documents that your families can submit to respond to verification. So please download that when we send it and keep it handy at your front office, for example. We're also going to be sharing with you a verification tracker. So this is a school-specific Google Sheet that we'll send out by the 8th, depending on when we get to your school. And then if you have any trouble accessing it, just email forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. This will list which students had an application selected for verification, along with all the info from their original application. And then we fill it out with other information, like when your school's due date for documents is. That will vary by school, but should be in early November. And then we will keep it updated as we get responses and send out notifications in that notes from SFS column that's highlighted in red. After that, there's also a place for notes from school, as well as contact information for the family, phone number and email. So we encourage you to log in and check the tracker to see how things are going. If you have better contact info for the families than what we have there, please update it and highlight that in yellow. You can also add in notes if you hear anything from the family at the school. So these 3 columns are for you to update, and then just highlight them yellow whenever you do make a change so that we know something has changed. And you don't need to update anything else in the tracker. We will keep up with the rest of it. The verification letter to notify families that they've been selected will get emailed and mailed the first week of October. It tells families an explanation of why they've been selected, where to send their documents, which is also listed here. We ask them that they send them to us directly here at School Food Solutions. And then what types of documents are acceptable to send. If you at the school receive documents from a family, please review them and make sure that it has all the required information. Scan those documents and email them to forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org as soon as you receive them. You can make the email subject verification and then your school name and then the student initials. And please only send one email per family. Don't put multiple families' documentation together. We want to make sure we keep everything straight when we're processing the documents. Here's an overview of acceptable documents. So if they submitted an application with income, they need to submit proof of income for everybody who had income listed on the application. So it has to include the name of the household member, the amount of pre-tax or gross income they received, and the frequency it was received. So it needs to have dates on it that would represent, is this a pay stub for 2 weeks or half a month or a month? And then families could also submit a letter from an employer instead of pay stubs, which we'll talk about in a minute. If they submitted an application with a case number saying that they receive SNAP or TANF benefits, we would need some kind of letter or notice that proved the household member that is enrolled in that program. And if they stated on the income that they have no income, then they need to provide a letter explaining how they meet their needs with no income. Here's an example of an employer letter. It can be very informal. It just needs to say the name of the business, who confirm that they employ a particular person by name, and say how much they pay and how frequently they are paid. And then you can scan, if you get that, make sure you just add the student's name and school to the letter when you send it to us so we know who it refers to. Our goal is for 100% of your selected families to respond to verification. Sometimes, though, families don't want to submit pay stub information. And honestly, that's okay. But it will result in their free and reduced status changing to paid. They will no longer be eligible as free and reduced if they don't submit the documentation. But even if they don't want to submit documentation, please try and collect a statement in writing that they're choosing not to participate. This will count as a response as far as your school's response rate, even though they're not providing the documents. They can also text School Food Solutions with this information at the 877 number you see here. If less than 70% of your selected families don't respond in any way, that can usually result in corrective action from the state. So we want to try and get as high of a response rate as possible. If a family doesn't respond or opts out in writing, the student will lose their free or reduced eligibility and move to a paid status. There will be a 10-day grace period before the change occurs. So that's just something to be aware of. That verification, if it's not responded to at all, will result in a change of status. And then if they do respond with documentation, verification could have varying results based on that documentation. So the first result being no change in status. So if the documentation met the eligibility at the same level as the original application, nothing changes. They continue to be free or reduced. If the documentation they submitted qualified at a different level than they originally qualified for, it'll change. So they could change from reduced to free or free to reduced. Or they could lose their eligibility. So they could move to a full pay status if their documentation didn't meet the requirements for free or reduced priced meals. The most common reason this happens is that families are writing their take-home pay or their net income on an application. So when they submit the documentation that shows their gross income, that is at a higher level. And that's what the eligibility guidelines are based on and what they should have put on the original application. So that's kind of the most common reason that someone would change a status. We have ways for your families who are selected to contact us. They can always email forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. They can fax documents to the number 877-633-2373. They can mail their submissions to our P.O. box, which is listed here. They can also call that same 877 number with any questions that they have. Option number 1 is for verification, and option number 4 is for Spanish speakers. And then if you at the school have any questions, you can also email us at forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org or contact me directly at that 877 number, pressing extension 1 for verification, or you can contact my cell phone number, which is listed here, and leave me a voicemail or send me a text message. We are here to support you, and we hope to make this verification process as painless as possible. Thank you so much for your time, and have an awesome rest of your day.